Welcome, everybody. Always nice to see you. This is a very sweet time in my day and hope yours. I think after this whole coronavirus thing has blown over and the economy recovers, I think we're going to look back on this as a very sweet time. So thank you for co-creating it with me. The other day I said that we can always take a negative and turn it into a positive by adding a stroke of vertical awareness. So the subtitle for today's talk is how to make adversity your friend. Now, nobody likes adversity, it's no fun. However, if you know how to work with it, amazing things happen. So let me give you a couple of examples. Several decades ago, Southwest Airlines was a new kid on the block, and they wanted to establish an airline with 4 airplanes. And they had a number of routes for their 4 planes. Well, the powers that be and the airlines already in existence did not like the idea, so they put lots of pressure on Southwest. As a result, Southwest had to sell one of its airplanes to stay alive, and they had the dilemma of having to do the same number of routes with 3 airplanes that they were doing with 4. So they came up with this new invention in the airline industry called the 20-minute turnaround. As a result, they flourished and flourished and flourished until they became, I believe it was the 7th largest carrier in America. At least it was a couple of years ago. They won all kinds of awards for customer service. Excuse me. And so that adversity of having to sell a plane stimulated them to make changes they never would have made if things had been easier. I'll give you another example. Many years ago, when the Beatles were popular, they were doing concert tours from roughly 1963 or 4 to 1967. I actually went to see the Beatles in Atlantic City one year. I didn't hear a word they said. I didn't hear one note of music. There were a bunch of hysterical, screaming girls screaming for an hour and a half. I missed the whole concert. And the Beatles got fed up with it too. And they were musicians and creators. So they said, hell, we're not going to keep going doing concerts where people don't listen to us. What's the use of that? So they decided to hole up in the studio. And they gave 100 hours to making this new album called Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Now, if you're anywhere near my age, we spent that entire summer of 1967 doing nothing but listening to the album. I'm surprised that the record didn't have holes in it. We played it so much, and some people consider that the greatest album of all time. It was certainly a game changer in the industry. It changed the whole direction of popular music. So you may say, well, it's a pain in the butt that they had to go around and sing to screaming girls, but that adversity caused them to find a new direction. And so what's happening on the planet now is we have tremendous adversity with the coronavirus. We have tremendous adversity with the economy. This is going to force us to make new directions. Now, hopefully, that direction is in which we will find resources within ourselves. Instead of giving our power to the outside world, we will claim it and place it in the inside world where it belongs. Now, I heard a very interesting story. When the American troops liberated Germany at the end of World War II, they went into one of the concentration camps and they liberated the prisoners. And most of the prisoners were very sadly emaciated and skinny and malnourished. There was one guy who was extremely healthy, and he had a great attitude, and you'd hardly believe he would have been in the concentration camp at all. And they said to him, the American soldiers said to him, "So you must be a new entry here." He said, No, I've been here the whole time. And the difference was that he kept his vibration above the horror. Now, the horror existed. We're not making believe it didn't exist. On the earthly level, the 3-dimensional level, was terrible. But at the same time, as we've been saying every day, the healing frequency is a different frequency than the horror frequency. And this man was able, through manipulating his own consciousness, to stay above the fray stay connected to God, stay connected to Source. So he escaped psychologically and spiritually. And one thing I know for sure was that that man had to be a light in the concentration camp. He had to be an anchor and an inspiration for those other people. So you cannot fault him for not diving into the fray with everybody, because if he did, he would have been sick and emaciated like the rest of them. But he kept his consciousness high, which is what you and I are doing. We're practicing holding a high healing vibration, even while others may not. Now, I once heard it said, what's in the way is the way. Let me repeat that. What's in the way is the way. So we see an obstacle, we see a challenge. And by the way, A Course in Miracles tells us that the word challenge is never appropriate for a child of God. Because if you know that God is in you and around you and for you and with you, there's nothing in the world that can challenge God. Now, the human personality can be challenged, the ego can be challenged, the body can be challenged, but your divine self is incapable of being challenged, because in spirit there's only oneness and wholeness. And when you know you're whole, nothing that comes at you from the outside world can possibly hurt you. You are invulnerable. Now, maybe physically, emotionally, you may feel vulnerable, but as a spiritual being, you are absolutely invulnerable. You're eternal, you're undeathable, you're unsickable. All those things float around at the three-dimensional level of existence. But on the higher level of existence, nothing in the world can touch you or me. And when we drop into that affirmation, knowing that there's a part of us that is absolutely invulnerable to anything outside of us, then we become powerful. Then we become a spiritual leader, not so much by making a speech, but by walking to the grocery store or the post office. I went to the post office the other day, and there's kind of a nasty lady behind the desk, and she said, "I'm kind of closer. Stand behind." They have these plastic shower curtains that are separating the customers from the agent. Stand behind that curtain. Don't put your hand over there. She was like, yeah. And my first reaction was, come on, what's wrong with you, lady? Can't you lighten up a little bit? And then I realized that she was in fear, and she was calling for love. So I was kind to her. I didn't give in to the knee-jerk reaction saying, what's your problem, lady? So as we go through our day, if we can hold our light, people will see your light, even if they're, quote, not spiritual. There's something in the human being that recognizes pure light and love. Many years ago, I saw an ad for a Korean cell phone company that was advertising a passion meter on the phone. And basically, it was going to detect when somebody's speaking to you, if they're passionate about talking to you, or they're just trying to pull the wool over your eyes. So basically, if you're going out with somebody, this phone will tell you if they really care about you. Well, I don't know how far the phone got, but within us, we have that passion meter. You don't need to buy a cell phone to decide if somebody's passionate. And you don't need any external equipment to decide if somebody around you has their light going. And they don't need any extra equipment to decide if you have your light going. Light stimulates light. We talked yesterday about the stimulus package. Well, you are a walking stimulus package. By your connection to higher power, you get to stimulate everybody with your light. And that is the function of a healer. That's the function of a light worker. That's the function of a space holder. Now, it's very easy to sit in a cave or a retreat center and meditate and say, I know God, I know God, I know God. Well, that's fine. I'm kind of a closet yogi. I would love to do that if I could. But it's only in the world where there's adversity that you get to test your spiritual muscles and build them. Someone wrote in the comments the other video, they said, Alan Cohen said, you're still building your spiritual muscles. I thought you had your muscles built. Well, I said, give me a break. No, I'm still working on building my spiritual muscles. I go into fear, I go into guilt sometimes, not long, but it pops up. So this is also forcing me. We're all in this together. The playing field is now leveled. We're all working toward healing together. No one above or below anyone else. So the story goes that there was a yogi meditating in a cave for many, many years, and he came into a town, and somebody bumped him on the street accidentally, and he turned around and punched the guy. Well, he wasn't very enlightened, was he? What did he learn from his 20 years of meditation? What good is it? You can connect with God in meditation, sure, but unless that meditation spills into the world and lifts the world, it's not real meditation. My teacher Hilda told me a story that she lived in India, and she trekked one day to the top of the Himalayas, and there was an ashram there she'd heard about. And after all this climb to this remote holy ashram, she hears a voice, and one guy says, "That's my pillow." And somebody else says, "No, it's my pillow. No, I had it first." So these two yogis who had renounced everything in the world were still attached to the pillow. They thought that pillow would bring them closer to God. So they were fighting over it. Two yogis fighting over a pillow. Did you ever hear of anything so crazy? But we do it. We get stuck on stuff in the world. So while we're on the subject of Eastern religion, there's a famous story that I told in the movie Finding Joe. By the way, it's a great movie about Joseph Campbell's teachings, and it's now on YouTube for free. It's a fabulous movie. It's called Finding Joe. So just go to YouTube, and the producers very graciously put it out for free now. So the story goes that in Bangkok, Thailand, there was a great golden Buddha. This was hundreds of years ago. And the Buddha sat outside a monastery. And the monks heard that there was a warring army from another area coming into their town. And they realized that if the army saw this golden Buddha, they would take all the gold and plunder it. So they thought, what to do. So they decided they would cover the Buddha with stones and cement. So they worked all night, and they put cement and stones on the Buddha until it looked like a cement Buddha. So when these troops walked by, they would think it's just an old stone Buddha, and they wouldn't take the gold. Well, it worked. The army came, and they went, and the Buddha remained intact. Now, many years went by, and there were generations that came and went from this monastery until there was a day when there was no one in the monastery who remembered that the Buddha was golden. Until one day, a young monk was sitting on the knee of the Buddha having his lunch, and as he got up, he actually accidentally chipped away a piece of the Buddha's knee. And he saw there was gold under there. No one knew it. And he ran back to the monastery. "Hey guys, the Buddha's golden, the Buddha's golden." And they all ran out with their picks and axes, and they liberated the golden Buddha. Now, it's a metaphor that you and I and all humanity is the golden Buddha. We were created in the image and likeness of God, which equals Buddha. Over time, we have become encased with illusions and fears and guilt and a sense of separation that make the world seem so real, and the golden Buddha has become a stone Buddha. Until some adversity chips away at us, a health challenge, a divorce, a financial setback, a coronavirus, an economic downturn. Something happens that pokes away at our veneer. And when that veneer is poked away, gold shines through, the gold of our divine spirit. And we say, "Hey, dude, I thought I was cement, but now I'm gold." let me chip away the rest of the cement. And so you enter onto what's called the spiritual path. You start meditating, Course in Miracles, yoga, whatever. And the purpose of your life becomes to unearth the golden Buddha, to chip away the cement that is not the Buddha, and to reclaim the light that is the Buddha. So that's what we're doing on the planet at this moment. It's a big chip, but when the chip is removed, the gold is released and revealed, and that's what it's all about, releasing our true golden nature. Well, thanks once again for joining me. It's a blessing to be with you. I love doing this. I thank you for your kind comments. We'll be again today, again tomorrow, and we'll go deeper. Love you lots. Thank you for listening.